So, coffee. I love coffee. It's a wonderful thing, and I know that it seems to be a bit of a penchant for YouTubers to wax lyrical about coffee and how much they love it, and slow motion coffee is definitely a thing. I'm surprised that somebody hasn't come out with a brand called slow motion coffee already. Please, if you're starting up a coffee brand and you want to call it slow motion YouTube coffee, please just credit the channel, but otherwise, yeah, feel free to use it. Yeah, I've got quite a lot of coffee gear over the years and bits and pieces, and I love it. I understand that you can make a really quick cup of coffee, but there is something about the meditation side of coffee making that I just really enjoy. It gives me a chance to actually have a break in my day. When I'm at work, taking 5-10 minutes to go make a cup of coffee. When I'm at home, sort of having a moment of calm in the day to be able to make a cup of coffee, it's a really lovely thing. There's this whole thing in coffee at the moment, the third wave coffee movement, which is all about really identifying coffee as an artisanal product, really sort of signaling the virtues of the flavor and origin and terroir. But what I also realize, there are a lot of people out there taking coffee significantly more seriously than me. And it can get a little bit obsessive. I think that's fair to say. It can get a little bit, that search for the ultimate cup of coffee can become a little bit of a driving pursuit to try and find that cup that is the really perfect cup, and how can we recreate that at home every single time. And so the big things, the obvious things, the sort of wider scope stuff, like making sure you get nice coffee beans, making sure you've got decent equipment to be able to brew it in, and they will immediately improve your coffee game massively. But then you see the videos on the minutiae of coffee improvement, and they're all presented with the same level of importance. They will improve the coffee by the same amount. And I think that there's a little bit of a danger in that, a law of diminishing returns. Getting a decent grinder, getting a decent brewer, and getting decent coffee, that will help massively. When people start talking about using a refractometer to be able to check your percentage of extraction, I'm not sure that actually checking the extraction levels compared to how it tastes, if it tastes good, does it matter if it's a percentage out? And I saw a video the other day that was great, and I loved it. It was a James Hoffmann video. If you haven't seen him, he's pretty obsessive about coffee, runs a coffee business. Worthwhile being obsessed about coffee when you run a coffee business. But he had a video on the water for coffee, perfect water for coffee. And I watched it and I thought, yeah, I want to try that. And a large part of it was, he was talking about how to make the perfect water for coffee. That's the important bit, make the perfect water for coffee. Because the water out of your tap, most people know that water out of tap can either be a bit hard depending on where you're living. The constituents, the minerals within water vary so hugely from place to place that how do I know, if I'm telling you about this amazing coffee, how do I know that my water is the same as your water? And it all seemed completely reasonable. It seemed completely, absolutely fine. He was talking about getting demineralized water, adding minerals into it to be able to create an exact replica of other people's water, and then going from there. It all seemed to make perfect sense, except for the fact that actually getting demineralized water is not quite that easy. Most of us have a filter in our home. We can filter water, but in the video he talks about how that doesn't actually make that much difference. Demineralized water, you can either buy it from a hardware store, you can distill your own water at home if you have a water distiller. Water distillation, so I'm a dentist when I'm not being a coffee nerd. In the dental practice, we have normally, in most practices I've worked in, we've had water distillers, and they are such a pain in the backside, because if you think your kettle gets scaled up, wait until you run a few litres of water through a distiller. In my current practice, we have a reverse osmosis tap. Now, reverse osmosis, I think the really simplified version is you push the water through a filter that is so fine it will take out the minerals. I don't know exactly how it works. I just know we have one. And so I had access to this bit of kit, and I watched this video, and I did what any perfectly sane person would do and thought, yeah, I'm going to try this. So I went to work, took along a couple of 1 litre bottles. I've now made my life a lot easier and actually just got a bigger bottle for transporting the water. But took along some bottles, filled them up with reverse osmosis water, and brought them home again and decided to try this experiment. I sat down and made a really lovely cup of coffee, and it was great. And I thought, this is best cup of coffee that I've had in a long time. And then I thought, well, maybe actually the fact that I've gone to this effort, the fact that I've really put time and effort into making this cup of coffee, and it's all for this one cup of coffee right now, is that why it's such a good cup of coffee? Not, is it such a good cup of coffee just because the water is better? How much difference does it actually make? So I decided I wanted to make this video that was about what the difference is between using my tap water and using specially made coffee water according to a recipe. How much difference actually is there? Is it worth doing on a regular basis? Very quickly, just talking about the process in terms of actually getting the water sorted out. You get your reverse osmosis water, or distilled water, or deionized water, or whatever it may be, just demineralized water. You make up 2 concentrates, one that has magnesium in it and one that has bicarbonate in it. You produce these concentrates, and then you add a small amount of that to more distilled water. If you haven't ever tasted demineralized water, it's a bit of a weird flavor. Like, it doesn't taste quite right. And then you add these in and suddenly it tastes like really lovely, clean, pure water, which is odd that the clean, pure water doesn't taste as nice as water that you've then added stuff to. So I made these concentrates, I've made them already. You need a pair of precise scales. And then you add in, so for magnesium, you add in Epsom salts. And then for the bicarbonate, just use bicarbonate of soda, just normal sort of baking soda type stuff. So right now I'm going to make a cup of coffee. I've got my 2 little coffee kettles. So when I say I've got lots of kit, we have a kettle, but apparently I also needed 2 other kettles to be able to make coffee with, because making coffee with my normal kettle, apparently not good enough. There are reasons for this. Like, there genuinely are reasons for this. And if you're interested in all of this sort of stuff, please let me know in the comments below, because actually I'm more than happy to make video. If I've got an excuse to talk about coffee, that's great. So if you're interested in it and you'd like to see more videos on coffee, please let me know. Right, enough waffling. I'm going to make some coffee water, because first of all, I only have the concentrates at the moment. I've brought home some distilled water, and then we're going to make some coffee. So I made the coffee. I made the water, first of all. I made it according to Barista Hustle. Well, they've got instructions on how to make your own water, and then they've also got instructions on how to mix that water. They've got 8 different recipes for how to mix that water. The one that I went with, in case you're interested in trying, was their Barista Hustle recipe, which is 40.1 grams of buffer and 80.7 grams of the magnesium, and then fill up the rest of the litre with water. And then just use regular tap water in the other one. So regular tap water was in the black fellow kettle, and the coffee water was in the blue kettle. Boiled them both, got them to the same temperature, ground my coffee. I decided to use a Hario V60, mainly because it's the only one I've got. I've got 2. Annoyingly, this is where sort of scientific rigor and all of that sort of stuff. I was using, one was porcelain and one was plastic, but I'm hoping you'll forgive me for that. Prepared them. The V60 is one of the most simple, straightforward ways to be able to actually get nice coffee. I'm sure there are lots of people that will say you can get nice coffee, but in terms of simplicity, in terms of just being able to get good pour-over coffee, V60 works brilliantly well. And the coffee I was using, Kangnanu, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm sure it's probably not how you pronounce it, but Kangnanu. It's from Pact. I can't remember all the details from it because unfortunately I've actually thrown away the packet, but it was what I had in my grinder to be able to test. I decided to go with one that I've already had a few and have sort of dialed in the grind. Pact. It's a subscription coffee thing. So they send you coffee through the post. This is not a sponsored video. I had a guy comment the other day, really amused me. He was commenting on one of my other videos, the Huel video, and the referral link that I had in my video has my name in it. And he put a comment saying, "Oh, it's funny that you say that you're not sponsored, but actually you put your name in the referral link. Only sponsored people have names in referral links." I think he's really not going to like this video because, yeah, I'm not sponsored, but my referral code, if you want to use Pact, I think you get £5 off and I get £5 off, is Ben Likes You. It's one of these little quirks that I quite like about Pact, that they let you choose exactly what referral code you want to use. So rather than having to remember 1PFXNT4763, which is not a particularly easy thing to be able to repeat in a video. I couldn't repeat that if I tried. Yeah, I just put it to Ben Likes You. All one word, all uppercase. If you'd like to try it, please try it. So my coffee is from there. I did one single grind and then mixed it up to be able to split into the two. So I tried to keep as much scientific rigor as possible, even used the same cups. So yeah, let's try. Let's see, I've just been letting it cool because it's slightly too hot at the moment. It might still be slightly too hot. So that's the tap water one. Actually, interestingly, still slightly too hot. Interestingly, even just the difference between the two, you can see that one of them took about a minute and a half longer to draw down than the other one, even though they were theoretically exactly the same. I used just a single pour method, tried to treat them exactly the same, and the tap water one took significantly longer to draw through than the non-tap water one, which is a bit odd. I'm not quite sure why it did that, but it's quite interesting that it did. Let's try. So that was a tap water one, and it's a lovely cup of coffee. And that's the coffee water one. They're definitely not the same. Tap water one is a nice cup of coffee. It's lovely. Actually, I think that's a really nice cup. I'm happy with that. The coffee water one, yeah, it is different. It's a bit brighter. This coffee, I think, is meant to have blackcurrant and apricot ice cream notes. I'm struggling to find those exact notes. I always find tasting notes are a really interesting thing. So I host whiskey tastings, and I often say, if you really want to look like you know what you're doing when you don't, give utterly specific tasting notes. Like if you go, "Oh, this really reminds me of a Tahitian vanilla that I ate while sitting on the beach, just sitting in the sunset and enjoying that moment." Nobody was there with you. Nobody can tell you you're wrong. So the more specific you are, the less anyone can suggest that you're wrong. But equally, the less helpful that tasting note is. I'm sort of getting... I understand why they've said blackcurrant and apricot ice cream. I'm sort of getting that creaminess through, which is really nice. And that, yeah, bit of stone fruit and red fruit type stuff. The coffee water one is definitely tastes fresher, tastes more zingy, a little bit more acidic, livelier. The tap water one tastes a little bit more muddy, a little bit less clear. I don't know whether the difference there is worth it in terms of the rigmarole that you need to go through. Like, certainly if you're not for every cup. What I think I'll probably do is have that water. I've got it here. I've got the concentrates made up. So easy to be able to get RO water from work. To be able to get the bottles, I think they were £16 off Amazon. I already had the Epsom salts. I already had the bicarb. So actually, it's really not cost me a lot because we've got the RO tap at work. I just need to bring the water home. If it was a question of I needed to find more space on my side for a water distiller, or I was going to install an RO tap at home, which I think the one we've got at work is about £4,000 worth of RO tap, that's not a £4,000 better cup of coffee. Now, I understand that by the time I have 2 cups of coffee, that's £2,000 better cup of coffee and so on and so forth. But I'm not sure that all of the rigmarole is worth it for every single day. But actually, just to add a little step to my meditative stuff, yeah, it was good. It was good fun, and I enjoyed the experiment. Actually, yeah, that is nice. This is the coffee water one. It's definitely a cleaner cup. I don't think I'm going to do it every day, but I will do it occasionally as a bit of a treat, and particularly just if you're being a coffee nerd and you're showing off to your mates, it's quite cool that you've got your own water. I quite like that. So thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see me do more coffee, if you'd like to see me talk about coffee making techniques, if you'd like to see me talking about the different coffee bits that I've got, if you'd like to see me talking about different types of coffee, let me know in the comments. If you'd like to see more videos like this or on any of the other bits that I cover, if you've seen my video on consistency, you'll know that the quality of the video is what I try and keep consistent rather than the content. Please subscribe and give this video a like, and thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.